Good morning, and for any of those who don't follow a regular channel, on our regular channels, mostly on Instagram, we call this Urban Wild. Why? Because it's where urban meets wild. What does that have to do with anything? Well, you'd have to listen to a whole lot of videos, listen to a whole lot of audios, watch a whole lot of videos, and read some documents. But basically, this is a wasteland in a common space, which is actually a buffer zone between public and private spaces that was a really disgusting dump space that over time we have converted into a community space that is unlabeled and unofficial, but it has transformed this, what was prior to a wasteland, into a common shared space enjoyed by many constituents, at least 50 cats and many humans. And I can explain that, and I do explain that, and I'm happy to continue. What you can see here is the tail end of our feeding space. This is what we call one of our picnic tables. We put out 3 of these buffets. This is where the cats have to mingle to get along. This here is one that we call my pedicurist, and that's for reasons that you have to watch other videos to understand. That's Uncle Mike. This is Fuzzy. That's FOMO. And all these cats have names for a reason. But the reason why I'm sharing this video here and now, that's Aphrodite, that little kitten over there. The reason why I'm sharing this video here and now, and specifically in LinkedIn, is because the amount of information that we've shared, the amount of documents and open source documents and revelations and exposés that we've shared that have received, the amount of response that they have, and also that they haven't received, the amount of response they haven't received, is very telling. And it's telling to the point where I don't have anything left that I feel like is worth doing. By the way, this is a one-eyed kitten that barely had a chance of surviving, somehow through mostly infant love and gratitude and just some love and care of myself, a few other volunteers, and these other cats. This cat's learned how to survive and thrive and become a real pillar of this community. And it sounds crazy, but it really takes more than a few seconds to explain. What I'm explaining here is we've been involved in 24-hour boot camps to save this country, meaning Israel, the startup nation, during COVID, deal with its economic crisis when we were thinking that it actually wanted to deal with the COVID crisis. We have worked on and helped every level of issues in Israel, from the first responder and the draft dodging issue of the Haredi constituency not going to the army, and Hatzalah and the volunteer services. We've been involved in so many different social issues. The problem is that when all anyone cares about, even in a time of such horrible crisis, global crisis, existential crisis, every level of crisis that exists today, that all people want to talk about is money. Boker Tov. In fact, that all people want to talk about is money. That's insane. We thought of talking about this as a human rights issue. Nobody seems to care because no one to represent human rights anymore. What does human rights even mean? Nobody knows how to explain or define it. Who's a human? What's a human? That's already become up for discussion. Giving robots sentiency in some countries and animals' rights in other countries, but still denying the rights of humans. I mean, something has gone wrong in this world. So we don't know who to talk to. We don't know how to present this. So it's become literally a presentation and a proposal for world peace. Now that seems to be at the interest of enough people out there that by saying that we have a peace plan, a world peace plan. It's not the first time we've presented it. It's not the first time that we've offered it. It's not the first time that we've shared it. It's not the first time we've talked about it. It's the first time that it actually makes sense to more people than it did before. It's the first time where the solutions that we're talking about are not just that they make sense, but they're being implemented on different levels, where it's not a question of having to sell the idea or to convince anyone. It's just a question of everyone understanding that we're doing this for a common goal and purpose. So buffer zones like the one we see here, but that exist between every community and every country and every neighborhood and every us and them. All the buffers, all the need for buffer zones, all the talks about buffer zones, all the budgets set out for policing, patrolling, and militarizing buffer zones could really be part of the solution instead of part of the problem. When I say part of the problem, meaning that we're wasting that amount of resources in time, energy, money, and people. These are the same 2 kittens that before were fighting for my attention are now sharing from this common plate to show how this works. These are two different kids that grew up literally in my hands, and they both want so desperately my attention. And as you can see, there's another one that wants my attention. They were fighting before these two, and now they're getting along and eating together at the same table. Does it mean they're going to get along? We hope so. But it shows that something works, that when you have the abundance mentality, when the reasons why you're fighting are less important than the reasons why we should get along. In other words, the idea of a common enemy makes us friends. How about common friends make us friends? Common purpose can make us friends too. Not just common enemies that we're busy fighting until the only thing we have to fight over is what we weren't fighting over before. So this concept here, this energy here that we've shown all over the world in every circumstance, war and otherwise, religious, political, financial and other wars, we've shown how we can bring the peace. We're offering our solutions now not just as a business solution. Yes, you can make money, they are for profit. We'll help you understand how they can be done for profit. There's also on a not-for-profit level, if you want to help your constituency in a profitable way, if you want to help your constituency, we can show you how to do that in a way that won't cost you any money. Boker Tov. And if you care at all about any level of peace for yourself, for your family, for your friends, for your future, for some ideal that you have, if you believe in anything and you want to see it having a future, we believe that bringing world peace, especially when it gives everyone what they want and everyone what they need, as long as we can negotiate how to understand that in a way that we can fulfill each other's obligations in a covenantal relationship. That's all it takes. Yes, some relationships have to be transactional, and that's okay. As long as there's no bluffs. As long as when the bluffs are called, we can actually stand behind them. So we're here to offer what we have to offer as a peace solution, as a solution to world peace, as a global solution to world peace. Yes, meaning it will apply to every country. It's not that one country has to sacrifice or give up more than the other. It has to do with understanding the Balfour Declaration. What went wrong with the Balfour Declaration was that it ignored 90% of the constituents. The Balfour Declaration, which decided and mapped out the Middle East, which we've been fighting over ever since then, and the world peace and the world economics, everything in the world is dependent on what's going on in the Middle East, between the Suez Canal for trade and all the other reasons, between the arbitration of oil prices and all the other BDS and BS and other issues that start with B and end with S, or that have initials of BS. The point being that everything is a question of how the Balfour Declaration got away with promising the Middle East, first of all, to opposing parties, promising the same thing to opposing parties, but the worst part was leaving out 90% of the constituents. And what does that mean? That means that using a flawed definition of who should inherit this land, meaning going from the children of Israel, the children of Abraham, to one particular tribe of Judah, and somehow using mistakes in history, flaws in history, or misdefinitions in history to perpetuate crimes that happened in the past, of civil wars that happened in biblical times after King Solomon's time, when the kingdom of Judah and the kingdom of Israel didn't get along because they were idol worshipping at the time, and they were not following the Torah, so it does not represent the Torah.